Vanessa was 32 years old and worked as a graphic designer at a firm in downtown Portland. She parked in the same structure every day, a 7-level city-owned garage 2 blocks from her office. She had a monthly pass and always parked on level 4 because level 4 was where she could reliably find a spot near the elevator bank without having to circle. She knew this garage the way commuters know places they use every single day, not consciously or in detail, but in that deeper way where the body knows the route before the brain catches up. She knew the walk from the elevator to her usual spot was 42 steps. She knew the fluorescent light above space 4 to 17 had been flickering every few seconds for the past 3 months. She knew the stairwell door on the east side of level 4 stuck slightly and needed a shoulder push to open. She knew this place. On a Thursday evening in November, she left the office at 7:15, later than usual because she had been finishing up a project. The building lobby downstairs was still staffed, and the streets outside still had people moving through them, but the garage was quieter than it would have been at 5 o'clock. She swiped into the elevator and hit 4. The doors opened on level 4. She stepped out. The level was mostly empty, maybe a dozen cars where there would normally be 40 or 50. The kind of emptiness that changes a space the same way a restaurant that is full feels completely different from one with only 3 tables occupied. She started the walk to 4 to 17. She was on step 21 when she heard something, a sound she could not immediately identify. Not footsteps, something lower, like something being dragged. Brief, maybe 2 seconds, and then gone. It had come from somewhere to her left, behind the row of parked cars. She slowed. She looked. Nothing visible between the cars. The light above 4 to 17 was doing its usual flickering 30 feet ahead. She kept walking faster now. 22. 23. The dragging sound again. Closer. She stopped completely. She turned to face the direction it was coming from, a row of cars to her left near the concrete half-wall that looked out over the street below. She could not see anyone, but the sound had been real both times. She had not imagined it. She checked her phone. 1 bar. She sent a text to her husband saying she was on level 4 of the garage, that she had heard something, and that she was walking fast. She did not know if it would go through. She started moving again, not quite walking and not quite running, something in between, the pace of someone who has decided that getting to the car is the only thing that matters. She hit the key fob at 20 feet out, heard the locks click, and saw the lights flash. At 10 feet out, she looked over her shoulder. A man was standing between 2 cars 3 spaces behind her. Not moving, just standing there. He had not been there when she had looked a moment before. She covered the last 10 feet in about a second and a half, got in, pulled the door shut, and hit the lock button. She sat in the car with the engine still off and checked every mirror. He was walking now slowly toward the elevator bank. Away from her. She watched until he reached the elevator, watched the doors open, watched him get in. She sat in that car for 4 more minutes before she trusted her hands enough to drive. She got home and showed her husband the text she had sent. It had delivered barely on that 1 bar. She told him what had happened. He asked if she wanted to report it. She said report what? A man standing in a parking garage. He said to report that she had been frightened. Make a record of it. She called the non-emergency line and gave the location, the level, the time, and the description. The officer who took her call said he wanted to tell her something. The garage she had described had received 2 other calls in the past 6 weeks. Similar circumstances. Women alone, evening hours, level 4 specifically. Same description both times. They had not been able to place him, but she was the 3rd call. 3 calls meant a pattern. 3 calls meant resources. He thanked her for calling. Vanessa switched garages the next day. She pays $11 more per month. She has never once considered switching back. There is a particular cruelty to what happened to Michelle. She was 38 years old, a pediatric nurse working 12-hour shifts 3 days a week, parking in the hospital's attached structure because the surface lots filled up by 6 in the morning and her shift started at 7. She was good at her job. She was calm under pressure. She had managed medical emergencies with the kind of quiet competence that takes years to develop. She was not a person who frightened easily. She was also, by the end of a 12-hour pediatric shift, deeply and bone-level exhausted. On a Wednesday in February, she finished her shift at 7 in the evening, clocked out, changed out of her scrubs, and took the elevator from the hospital's 3rd floor to the connected parking structure on the same level. The connection between the hospital and the garage was a corridor, maybe 60 feet long, that ended at a door into the structure itself. She had walked that corridor hundreds of times. She pushed through the door into the garage. Level 3. Her car was on level 2. She had two options, the elevator at the far end of the level or the stairwell right beside the door she had just come through. She took the stairwell. One flight of stairs. She had done it 1,000 times. She pushed open the stairwell door. Concrete steps, fluorescent light, and the particular echo chamber quality of an enclosed stairwell in a concrete structure where every sound is doubled. She started down. She was halfway down the flight when she heard the door above her open. Footsteps on the landing above, then on the stairs coming down. She did not think anything of it. She was in a hospital parking garage, and people used this stairwell all day. She reached the bottom and pushed through the door onto level 2. The footsteps came through the door behind her. She turned right toward her car. The footsteps turned right. She slowed almost imperceptibly. The footsteps slowed. She sped up. The footsteps sped up. She was a nurse. She understood bodies. She understood pacing and rhythm and the way movement communicates intent. The footsteps behind her were not the footsteps of someone walking to their own car. They were the footsteps of someone walking to wherever she was walking. She counted cars as she passed them. She was 12 cars from her own. She did not look back. She did not run. She pressed her phone screen. She knew from 2 years in this garage that there was signal near the east wall on level 2, and almost none anywhere else on the level. She was not near the east wall. No signal. She pressed her key fob. She needed to be 30 feet out for it to reach. She was still 45 feet away. She pressed it anyway. Nothing. She pressed it again at 40 feet. Her car's lights flashed. She heard the locks click open, and she covered those 40 feet without breathing and got in and hit the lock button and looked up. A man was standing 1 car length behind her vehicle. He was looking at her car. He stood there for 3 seconds. Then he turned, walked back toward the stairwell, and disappeared through the door. Michelle sat in her locked car in that parking garage and experienced something she had not felt since she was a child. A full body shaking she could not control for several minutes. She called hospital security from the car. They arrived within 5 minutes. The man was not found on the level. The stairwell camera, there was one, had not been functioning for 11 days. A maintenance request had been submitted, but not completed. Michelle filed a formal incident report with both the hospital and Houston PD. The hospital repaired the camera within 24 hours. They also added 2 security measures that, despite 2 years of nurses raising concerns about that stairwell, had never been implemented. A panic button at the stairwell entrance, and a security guard stationed at the garage connection point during shift change hours. Michelle told the head of hospital security something during the debrief that he included in the incident report word for word. She said she had reported feeling unsafe in that stairwell twice before. Twice. And nothing changed until something almost happened. She said she needed him to understand that almost was not a comfortable word for her. Almost was not okay. Almost means next time it might not be almost. Of all the places Brian expected something to happen, his own office building's parking garage was last on the list. He was 44 years old, a senior project manager at a mid-sized logistics company in Atlanta, and he had worked there for 7 years. He knew the building the way he knew his own house. The parking structure was private and access-controlled, employees only. Badge required at the vehicle entrance. Badge required at the pedestrian entrance. Security desk in the lobby. He had never once felt unsafe in that garage. On a Tuesday evening in September, he worked late, a deadline, a conference call that ran long, the ordinary reasons people are still at their desks at 8 in the evening. He was one of maybe 6 cars left in the structure when he took the elevator down to level B1, the basement level where he always parked when he arrived after 9 in the morning. Level B1 was the deepest level. No natural light at any time of day. Lower ceilings than the levels above. The furthest point in the structure from any exit. He had parked there literally hundreds of times. He stepped off the elevator. The level was almost empty. His car was visible, 3rd row midway down. He started walking. He was 2 rows from his car when he noticed a vehicle he did not recognize. This sounds unremarkable on its own since he did not know every car in the garage. But this vehicle, a dark unmarked van, was parked in the employee section in a way that felt wrong. backed in with the nose facing out, positioned not in a normal parking space, but in a maintenance access area. He noted it, filed it away, and kept walking. He was 10 feet from his car when the van's side door slid open. Brian turned around. A man got out, not from the driver's seat, but from the sliding side door. He was large. He was not wearing a company badge or anything that suggested he worked in the building. He was looking directly at Brian. Brian said, and he described this as the only thing his brain produced in that moment. He said, "Can I help you?" The man did not answer. Brian's car was 10 feet behind him. The elevator was 40 feet ahead. He did the math in approximately 1 second. He turned and walked to his car quickly. He did not run because running puts your back fully to someone and means you cannot see what they are doing. He reached his car and got his keys out, physical keys rather than the fob, because the battery had been dying for 2 weeks and he kept meaning to replace it. He got the key in the lock. The man had followed him to within 2 car lengths and was standing there. The key turned. Brian got in and locked the door. He looked in the rearview mirror. The man was writing something down, looking at the back of Brian's car. His license plate. Brian called 911 from inside the locked car, gave his location, described the van, and read off his own plate number so they would know what the man had recorded. He also called the building's security desk and told them there was an unauthorized vehicle on B1 and a man who had just followed him to his car. Security reached B1 in 3 minutes. The van was gone. Atlanta PD arrived 5 minutes after that. The van had exited through the badge-controlled vehicle gate while the security guard was in the elevator coming down. Investigators found that the gate had a sensor malfunction that had been logged but never repaired. Under certain conditions, it would open without a badge. It had been malfunctioning for 19 days. The van was identified 4 days later through street camera footage from the block outside the garage. The plates traced back to a vehicle reported stolen 6 weeks earlier in Marietta. The individual was never identified, but the investigation into the van's movements, tracking where it had appeared on various cameras around the area, revealed a pattern of presence near corporate and office parking structures across the entire metro Atlanta area. Always in the evening, always in the deeper levels, always backed in with the nose pointing out, always positioned to leave quickly. The company replaced the gate sensor within 48 hours. They also, for the first time in 7 years of Brian working there, assigned a security presence to level B1 during evening hours. Brian told a colleague afterward that he had parked down there every single day for 7 years. And it took one night to make him realize he had no idea what had been down there with him. I want to say something before this last story, because this one is the most important one I've covered tonight. Not because it's the most dramatic, but because of what the woman at the center of it did, and because of what would have happened if she hadn't. Her name is Diane. She was 51 years old. She was shopping at a mall in Minneapolis on a Saturday afternoon in January. Completely ordinary. She'd been there maybe 2 hours. A few stores, nothing particular, the kind of Saturday errand run that most people do without giving it a second thought. She walked out through a ground floor exit into the attached parking structure. Level 1. Busy. Saturday afternoon busy. Cars coming and going, families, other shoppers. The kind of environment where you feel the reassurance of numbers. She was walking to her car, maybe 150 feet from the mall entrance, when she spotted a man near a white sedan 2 rows over. He wasn't doing anything specific. He was just standing near the car, not getting in it, not loading anything, just there. She noticed him the way you notice something that doesn't quite add up. She kept walking. She got to her car. She opened the back door to put her bag in. And she has described this as a physical sensation like a shift in air pressure. She felt someone behind her. She turned around. The man from 2 rows over was 6 feet away. She had not heard him coming. No footsteps. She'd been focused on her bag, and he had closed 60 feet of distance in the time it took her to open a car door. He said, "Need help with that?" She said, "No thank you." She shut the back door. He didn't move. She looked at him directly, fully. She made deliberate eye contact. She said later that she had read somewhere, years back, she couldn't recall exactly where, that direct eye contact signals to someone that you have seen them, that you can identify them, that you are not a target who can be caught off guard. She held that eye contact for 2 full seconds. Then she said clearly in a full voice, not a whisper, "I'm going to need you to step back, please." He said, "I'm just being friendly." She said, "Step back, please." He didn't step back. She did not get in her car. This is the decision that matters. She did not get in her car. Because getting in her car meant a closed door between her and a way out. It meant a confined space. It meant a window he could break or a door she might not get locked in time. Instead, she stepped away from her car, away from him, and she raised her voice. Not screaming, not a distress sound that could be dismissed or explained away. She said, loudly enough for the family 2 rows over to hear clearly, "This man will not step back. Can someone call security?" The father of the family 2 rows over looked up. The man who had approached Diane turned and walked briskly back toward the mall entrance. The family called mall security. Security pulled the camera footage. Police were contacted. The responding officers, 2 of them, reviewed the footage from that level. The footage showed the man had followed Diane from inside the mall, from the second store she'd walked into. He had tailed her for 45 minutes through the mall and then out into the structure. When investigators ran his description and the partial plate of the white sedan, captured on one of the structure's cameras, against their database, they found a connection to an open investigation in a neighboring county. A case involving a woman who had been followed in a nearly identical manner and had gotten into her car before she understood what was happening. That case ended very differently than Diane's. Diane was interviewed by investigators for close to an hour. At the end of the interview, the lead detective said to her, "You did everything right. The eye contact, the verbal command, not getting in the car, using your voice publicly." She said, "I was terrified the entire time." He said, "I know. It doesn't matter. You did it anyway."